And I also firmly believe that there are no coincidences, there are no accidents, and when people come into our lives, no matter who they are reflecting something back to us, because whatever you recognize in someone else is just a mirror for something within you. Hi guys, welcome back to a new episode of Synced Up. So I have a bunch of things that I want to talk about today, and I'm just going to give you a rundown of kind of what they are so you have an understanding of what to expect. But I want to talk about living in the flow, and I'm going to tie that into a story of how I randomly decided to dine alone, like go to a dinner, to a real sit-down restaurant and dine by myself. So I have a story on that I want to cover. And disclaimer, I didn't end up eating alone. So that's kind of the catch. But the sentiment is that I was going to, and I've never dined by myself in a sit-down restaurant in my 24 years of living in New York City. So I want to talk about that, kind of getting out of your comfort zone, being open-minded, how to do all that and how to do it with confidence and groundedness and excitement instead of seeing it as, oh my God, this is something that's really uncomfortable and I don't want to do this and it's not going to be fun, because everything is just your perception of it. So you can perceive it to be fun and magical and exciting, and that's what I want to talk to you about. So I had gone to the gym and I brought my friend Will with me. We went to the gym and then he was going to some event and I was just going to go home. So I'm starting to walk home and I just had this feeling within me, and I literally said to myself, I was like, I don't want to go home. I'm just not ready to go home. But I was in sweaty gym clothes and whatever. So I decided to just kind of take a longer route. I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'll walk by the water, and then after I walk around the water, then I'll go home. So I put in my audiobook, and I, for whatever reason, had a J in my pocket. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to make this walk my bitch. No, I'm going to make this walk something just like a self-care opportunity to connect with myself, connect with the universe, which I love to do anytime I am smoking the weeds. So, and I put in my audiobook, I listened to Super Attractor by Gabby Bernstein. It just always helps me just connect to my super attractor magnetic energy. And I always just pick up where I left off because it's always exactly what I need to hear. So I smoke a J, I set my intention, which is also another thing I always do before smoking. I set the intention for the energy that I want to cultivate, the energy that I want to receive, the energy that I want to put out, and what I want to attract. And then I just give it up to the universe. And I literally, so when I was listening to the audiobook, Gabby was giving some prayer or affirmation for surrender. And so I literally had just set this intention, and now I'm listening to this audiobook, like literally surrendering to the universe, and I'm walking. And yeah, so it already had felt pretty amazing. Like I was connecting to myself, I was connecting to the universe. As woo-woo, oh my God, I sound so woo-woo, but like this is what I do. So, and it works and I fucking love it. So hopefully you guys like it too. So I'm walking, and then I'm kind of at a crossroads. I'm like, okay, I can go left or I can go right. I don't know where to go. And then I was like, let me just follow my intuition. And I really used it as an opportunity to just go with what felt right. So I'm walking down Kent Ave in Williamsburg, and I am approaching this restaurant that I heard about. I'd seen it on Instagram, and I was like, you know what? Let me just go in. Like, if anything, I'll just order and get takeout. So I go in and I'm looking at the menu, and the hostess is so sweet. We're talking, and I tell her, I'm like, oh my God, this menu looks so good. Like, it looks really, really good. I've never been here before. And she was like, oh, you should just sit down. Like, do you want to sit? And I was like, oh, like, I don't know, I'm by myself. I was just going to maybe get takeout. And she said, you should sit. People do it all the time. So I'm looking, and there's a bar. She said, sit at the bar. And I was like, okay, can you come in and check on me here and there? Because, so also dining alone was something that I had been wanting to do. Like, it was on my list of things to do. just because I feel like it's good for character development, and anything that kind of makes you uncomfortable, which dining by myself did, the idea of sitting by myself, I don't want to be on my phone the whole time. So just like actually sitting with myself, I was a little bit nervy. And then I thought, you know what? Fuck it. I'm already out. Yes, I'm in sweaty gym clothes and I'm coming from the gym, but whatever, I'm going to do it. So she walks me to the bar, and there's a bunch of seats, but there's 4 seats that I see. And there's a man sitting, and then there's an empty seat next to him, another empty seat, and then a girl sitting. So she's takes me, and she was like, oh, you can sit wherever you want. So I was like, oh, do I sit next to this guy or do I sit next to the girl? So I was like, all right, I'm going to sit next to the guy. As soon as I sit down, he starts talking to me. Like, my ass hits the seat, and he says something along the lines of, oh, are you getting some food by yourself as well, or something like that. And then we just start talking, and he's telling me about himself, and in my head, I'm kind of like, okay, well, at least I'm not like, yes, my intention was to dine alone, but I'm open to this. Like, I'm fine with this. You never know who you meet or what you can learn from them. So I like to also just keep an open mind. So this kind of ties in with spontaneity and just living in the flow and being open-minded. And so he's telling me how he's looking around Williamsburg to start teaching in a yoga studio because he teaches yoga once a week. And then he starts talking to me about health and wellness and his diet and fitness and nutrition. And at this point, I haven't told him that, like, I'm literally training to become a holistic health coach, that I haven't told him anything about myself. I'm just kind of learning. I'm just letting him speak, and I'm learning about him. So, but automatically I think, oh, okay, this feels really aligned. Like, he's discussing everything that I love and am so interested in. So maybe I can learn something from him. I don't know. I was just really open to it, and we have similar interests. So I'm just talking to him, and then I tell him about myself and all this stuff. And we're just talking. And then about 20 minutes go by, and I'm like, wait, so what do you do? And we're vibing. Like, I mean, right off the bat, would I say that I'm super physically attracted to him? No, he's not my quote unquote type. And obviously I'm not thinking of this guy as like a date. I'm just saying, when you sit next to a guy and you're talking, like, usually it's not, oh, I want to be besties with this guy. Do you know what I mean? So whatever, you know what I mean? So anyway, but I think that this guy is really interesting, and we're vibing for sure. So then I ask him, and I'm like, oh, so you teach yoga once a week. Like, what do you do the rest of the week? And then he says, oh, I run a hedge fund. And I was like, okay, so you're a yoga instructor and you run a hedge fund. That's pretty fucking cool. I'm not gonna lie, that's really cool. And so he tells me a little bit about that. Anyway, we just continue talking. I think I'm there for about an hour and a half. And I was just really present, and the entire time I just kept, and that's something else that I'm really trying to prioritize in my life, is to find joy in whatever I'm doing, bring joy and bring fun into even the most mundane situations, bring fun and joy to it, and just be present with it. And I think that has a lot to do with living in the flow, because when you are present, you are flowing, and I think also when you are present, that's when you can connect with your intuition the strongest. And when you're spontaneous, you are making decisions from the present moment. So it all kind of ties in together. But when I was with him, I just really looked at it as an opportunity to live in the present and be spontaneous and be open-minded to someone who seemingly is different from me on the outside. And actually, we have a lot of things in common. And so, yeah, it was a cool experience. I wasn't expecting it at all. And I feel like those moments are what makes life so exciting, because this was just like a regular weekday. I think it was like a Thursday. And I had this feeling inside myself, my intuition. I had this feeling of just like, I don't want to go home. I don't want to just go into my routine of, okay, I'm going to go home, shower after the gym, make dinner, watch something on TV. I just did not want to do that. And I realized, like, okay, I'm a 24-year-old single girl living in New York City. Why the fuck am I not going out and doing something on my own when I have free will and I can literally do anything that I want? So when I think about that, it feels so empowering. It feels like, okay, I actually can go after anything that I want. I can put myself into any experience or position that I want to be put in. And if I keep an open mind and if I keep that positive energy, then I'm sure as hell gonna attract it back to me. And I think like, okay, if I had gone to this restaurant and I was in a really bad mood and I was nervous and anxious and letting that take over me, I don't think I would have met this guy and had such a great interaction, because I would have been blocking myself with this negative energy and negative perception. Or if I just judged him immediately based off of what he looked like, I was just open and I was just whatever. And I had a really cool experience learning about someone and hearing their perspective on the world. And he's deeply spiritual, and it was really fucking cool. And I also firmly believe that there are no coincidences, there are no accidents. And when people come into our lives, no matter who they are reflecting something back to us. So when I met this man who's this successful entrepreneur, runs a hedge fund, and it also has this deeply spiritual side to him, and he really values his health and wellness and diet and lifestyle, and he does all this stuff, and he's a yoga instructor. All these amazing things, I'm noticing all of these traits in him. That's what I'm perceiving from him. It's all reflecting back to me things that I recognize within myself, because whatever you recognize in someone else is just a mirror for something within you. And it's interesting because even when you feel envious towards people or jealousy towards people, and I've talked about this on previous episodes, but it's actually reflecting back to you. So say you're envious of someone's job or lifestyle or whatever it is, that's something that you actually see for yourself that you just haven't gotten there yet, but it's something that you see for yourself. So meeting someone like that and having them reflect back to me, or in a more general term, having my external reality, which is reflected by him, mirror back to me energy within myself, that was also just kind of a nice pat on the back from the universe, because the universe is showing me or aligning me with people. I'm attracting people and opportunities and situations that are in alignment with my energy field. That was also just another way to look at the experience. And that made me really happy, because I've been going through my own existential crises, identity crises, just a lot of crises, living, just being in my 20s and trying to figure out my life. So having these little moments of positive reinforcement from my external environment reflecting back to me that I am on the right path and I'm attracting people who are in alignment with me and my values and my energy, that was just awesome. And it kind of gives me a lot of hope and faith that everything is going to work out, because in the last couple of weeks I've been having some mental breakdowns about what I'm doing with my life, per usual. And I think that's very normal for someone my age. But yeah, just having those experiences really just reaffirms that everything is happening exactly how it should be. I'm exactly where I am, and I'm always being guided. And that's, I think also a lot has to do with all the work that I do on myself, all the meditating and affirming, the types of affirmations that I'm saying. And it's really true. And I pray, like, not to get religious or woo-woo again, but like I do pray a lot. And I think you can pray and meditate. It goes kind of hand in hand. But one thing that I always ask is I say, thank you, universe, or something that I always say, thank you, universe, for guiding me, protecting me, and supporting me on my path of highest good. Oh my God, sorry, ADHD moment, but I'm like looking at myself filming this and realizing I'm wearing my robe and my hair is crazy. And I'm gonna have to promote this on social, so you guys are gonna see me in my robe, which I wasn't planning on. But anyway, to wrap up this story, we are talking for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then at that point I was like, okay, I got what I wanted from this experience. It was just nice to connect with someone. It was nice to have human connection, and that's kind of where I wanted to end it. Also, you never know who you're gonna meet. Like, you have to definitely be safe. And I asked him, but again, intuitively, I just knew. And I've also been in situations though where I've been on a date with a guy and I know that I feel unsafe, or I know that something's off, and my body will communicate it to me because I start shaking. I start shivering, like I'm really, really cold, even though I'll be indoors or it's like the summer, and I'm freezing cold and I'm shaking. And whenever I know that I'm in a situation that I shouldn't be in, or if I'm with a guy that I just know isn't right for me, or if I feel something's off, my body just starts to shake. And I didn't feel that with him, and I really trust, especially over time. I mean, I've been working on connecting with my intuition and how my body communicates with me for like a year. So I've gotten very familiar with what it feels like, and I felt fine. I feel like some people can get intimidated by going on dates or talking to new people, but if you just keep an open mind with it and ask yourself, okay, how can I make this a joyful and fun experience, and just be present with it and just feel into your body, see how it feels if you're enjoying it, and enjoy it and be present, and then you can go from there. So to tie it back to really living in the flow and listening to your intuition and just being spontaneous, you will know if you're living in the flow if things are just happening with ease and things feel easy and you're not experiencing a lot of blocks. So when you're evaluating, am I listening to my intuition or am I living in the flow? I would look at different buckets of your life that kind of make a big impact on you, which would be your sense of home and apartment and security, and your career and your finances and your relationships. And if there's something that is kind of like a block within you, there's usually an adjustment that you can make that will put you back into alignment, or if you just listen to your intuition and cut something off or detox it from your system, that usually has a trickle down effect. So when you heal one area of your life, or you show up differently, or you cut something out, or you just regain that alignment with your highest, most authentic self, it's going to impact the other buckets of your life. And I notice that a lot with dating and relationships. Like when I am dating someone who feels in alignment with me, my career also feels pretty good. Like I'm experiencing positive feedback, and vice versa. When I'm doing really well in my career, I'm usually also attracting guys who are in alignment with me. And it's not always like that. But I will say it does help you. It works almost as a guide. It works as a guide to kind of help you get back on track if you are feeling out of alignment, or if you do feel like you're not listening to your intuition. I really want to encourage you guys this week to take note of what it feels like when things are flowing with ease, when you are catching every train on time, or when you get all green lights when you're driving, or when things just seamlessly work out. Take note of what you're doing. Take note of what you're feeling. Take note of the energy that you are putting out. And the more you become aware of what you're doing when you're in the flow, the more you're going to start to practice doing it. And the more you start to practice doing it, the more it's just going to become natural for you to live in that state. And of course, you're going to experience some roadblocks, or you're going to experience triggers, and that's normal. It's not about preventing that from happening. It's starting to measure the time between you becoming triggered to how you're going to come out on the other side. So I want you to take note of when you're living in the flow, what you're doing, and also take note of when you are living intuitively, what it feels like in your body when something is a no, when you are feeling kind of hesitant towards something. What does that feel like? And start to just become more aware of that. And then also, what does it feel like when something is a fuck yes? When you're like, yes, this is exactly what I want to do, no questions asked, it feels right. What does that feel like in your body? And just become aware of it. It's not going to happen overnight, but the more that you become aware of what a yes and a no feels like, and what a maybe, and which is usually a no, what that feels like, the more powerful you're going to become, the more connected you are. The more connected you are going to be to yourself and to your intuition, and that is how you unlock your internal power. So I hope you have a powerful, amazing, miraculous, spontaneous week, and I love you, and I will see you next week. Bye.